Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting, good communication, and how to build strong family relationships. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to be emotionally strong in a relationship. In this video, I'm going to share a true story from my life and then share with you some key things that you can do to be emotionally strong and to help other people be emotionally strong too. Years ago, I was speaking at a conference in Colorado. And there was a man there named Dan. He was one of the speakers too, a good friend of mine. And he and I happened to be talking just behind the scenes, behind stage, as we were waiting for our turns to speak at this conference. And he said to me, "Nicholeen, I love what you teach because it creates emotionally strong people. And what I want for my children is I want them to be emotionally strong." And I loved that he shared that with me. I hadn't really thought of it before. I knew that I didn't want people to be in emotional bondage all the time, and I had vocalized that, but I hadn't really thought about its opposite, meaning emotionally strong. I knew what emotional bondage looked like. I knew what it took not to be in emotional bondage, the steps and skills that a person needed to utilize to communicate more effectively with themselves and with others, but I hadn't called it emotionally strong. So thank you, Dan, for talking to me about emotional strength and what you hoped for your children and how you were finding it in my Teaching Self-Government program. That is really what I teach, is how to be emotionally strong. And I teach that through the lens of self-government. So let's quickly talk about what self-government is. So when a person has self-government, that means that they understand the cause and effect of any situation that they happen to be in, and they possess a knowledge of their own behaviors so that they can control their own behaviors. So this means they want to control their own behaviors, they want to have a plan for themselves, and they think it is perfectly healthy to course correct. There you go. An emotionally strong person says, wait, what's right or wrong, good or bad, true and false? Wait, I want to do what's right, good and true. How do I get there? This is my plan. Oops, I didn't do it right. Now I'm going to fix. And they have no problem acknowledging when they did something wrong. I want you to think. We all know someone. We all know maybe 10 someones, maybe more. These people who don't ever want to know they did anything wrong. Think of people you know like that. They are not emotionally strong. If a person cannot embrace when they might have done something wrong or that hurt another person and choose to fix it because they want to, then they are emotionally weak. If a person has to be right all the time, they are emotionally weak. Humility and meekness actually are the signs of a person who is emotionally strong. They don't have to control everything around them. They just have to control themselves. They have to acknowledge the direction to head and go in that direction. That's what it means to be emotionally strong. So if you're wanting emotional strength, then what you're really wanting is self-government. And boy, do I have some principles and skills for you. So let's talk about relationships, because if we're going to be emotionally strong in a relationship, it's important that we have an understanding of what a relationship really entails. Now, I know that many people for many years have said that a relationship goes two ways, meaning that it takes two people, but I like to think of it as this, that in order to have a relationship, it only takes one person. So I have a relationship with myself. There is a way that I see myself. I also have a relationship to my husband or with my husband, meaning I see my husband in a certain way. Now, he has a relationship to me, meaning he sees me in a certain way. Hopefully, both of them are kind, but they don't have to be. One person could be looking bad at another person. Well, another person could look at another person and think hopeful, kind, optimistic, productive thoughts. It happens all the time. In fact, I think that parents will often think bad about their children and children will trust their parents, or the other way around. The children will be having high hopes and thinking the best of their child, that they're a genius and everything else, and the child will be treating their parents like trash. It happens all the time. And that's because we each are responsible for our own side of the relationship. So if you are going to be emotionally strong in a relationship, any relationship, whether it's a love relationship or a parent-child relationship, then you have to choose to see the relationship in a productive way. There's non-productive lenses and productive lenses to look through. A non-productive lens is a lens that involves pride, selfishness, excuses, condemning, comparing. All of those things are things that are going to hurt the way you see another person. Instead, you should give them the benefit of the doubt. Be grateful for them. Notice the good things. Praise them. Focus on their potential, not all of their shortcomings. That doesn't mean as a parent you don't correct the shortcomings. Sometimes you have to. But focus on the potential. If you're praising your child more often than you are correcting your child, then the child will actually recognize that you do focus more on who they are becoming, the good things that they do, rather than the little things you have to fix from time to time. We're going to talk about how to prepare yourself to be emotionally strong instead of emotionally weak or immature. But before we do that, click that subscribe button. There are a lot of videos on this channel related to self-government. Some of them apply to teaching self-government to other people, and many of them apply to having self-government yourself. You are not going to want to miss these videos because they truly will be life-changing for you. Click on the subscribe button now, and don't forget the notification bell too. When a person is emotionally immature, then that means that they oftentimes manipulate other people. They will play the drama situation. They will sometimes pick favorites of people. They will focus on negative things that are happening all of the time. These are all very immature things to do. Parents can be emotionally immature, and children can be emotionally immature. People who have emotional immaturity usually do not know how to solve their problems, so they go to their emotions to solve problems for them. This is very non-productive and ineffective, and it can hurt their relationships because on their side of the relationship they see themselves as being a victim all the time, which means everybody else turns into oppressor because everything is being emotionally motivated. We don't want emotional immaturity, which means we've got to understand what to do with our emotions then, right? In fact, understanding emotions in general is a very good idea. There's actually a whole event I did. It was a 3-hour event, a training that I did. You can find it at teachingselfgovernment.com. And it was called The Value and Mastery of Emotions, where I talk about how we can understand our emotions, which is important, but also how we can make sure that we're using productive emotions versus non-productive emotions. And a lot of that has to do with our thoughts, right? What types of thoughts do you have after you experience a feeling? This is a key pivotal moment. It can be the catalyst to bad emotional responses or the catalyst to good emotional responses. And a lot of that has to do with the condition of your heart. If you want to have good relationships with people, if you want to be emotionally strong in a relationship, it is important that you are focusing on where your heart is at in the relationship. Does your heart feel humble, caring, kind, loving? Do you need to pray for love for that person because you're not feeling it? Do you trust that that person can learn and wants to do good things? Well, hopefully so. These are all tone elements that show your condition of heart. If your condition of heart is not trusting, is thinking the worst of the person, well, then your relationship's hopeless because on your side of it, you already have condemned the person. I'm assuming you're watching this video because you want to improve your relationship. That means you need to start by improving your condition of heart about that other person. So now we know kind of what it means to be immature emotionally. To be mature emotionally means that we take personal responsibility for our emotions. That's how you're strong. You say, wait, I've had this feeling, I've had this thought, I now am choosing this emotion because this emotion will be a productive emotion. It will lead me toward caring, understanding, empathy, trust, compassion, love, whatever it is. Those are all productive, very healthy emotions to experience. And they're really the opposite from anger, contempt, feeling left out, all of those kinds of things that we might cater to. What can you do then to stay in that emotionally strong place? Number one, understand how your feelings, thoughts, and emotions relate to each other. Remember, I talked about I have that value and mastery of emotions that can be helpful with that. But number two is understand how to communicate with a person in a way that does not lead to emotional bondage, but instead shows understanding and logical ability. So the more we can use our problem-solving part of the brain, that logical prefrontal cortex of the brain, the better. This helps our emotions stay in the emotionally strong camp instead of the emotional bondage camp. What we need to do is plan ahead of time how we will handle situations. When something doesn't go our way, how will we handle it? Well, we need to know that. When somebody needs correction from us, how will we do it in a way that's calm and caring and understanding? We need to know that. We need to have a plan. There are 4 basic skills that I teach children. I need to know them too. Skills like following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. But there's also 5 teaching styles that are essentially skills that I need as a parent for how to solve the problems. I want to help you find how to use all of these skills. There are words that you can say, scripts that I can teach you that can replace some of the scripts that you might be using right now that are non-productive, that are actually leading toward emotional immaturity and hurting your relationships. So if you want emotional strength, I highly recommend that you learn these skill sets. In fact, the next video that I have will teach those skill sets to you. That video is called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Now, I know that maybe some of you listening are not parents, and so you might not think it applies, but everything I teach is a principle, which means it's broadly applicable. So all of the skills that I talk about in that parenting class will help you become emotionally strong in every relationship you have, not just with relationships with your children. So click the link to The Not So Known Secret to Parenting Success now.